So a few days ago, I put out a video about my favorite personal albums of the year. Links to me in the description for anyone who missed the masterpiece. But within the video, I had a very quick section where I made a joke about the song called Boycott Target that was briefly featured. If you missed out on it, here's a general gist of the song.
Shoppers.
Yeah, you didn't miss out on much. So the past few days, I started like a little vacation from work and school and everything. And never mind, I apparently didn't start a vacation because I'm currently making this video right now. But on my time off, I got bored, so I started looking down this deep conservative rabbit hole that is conservative music. And y'all, it is a wild, wild world. I'm not talking Cat Stevens, I'm talking conservative music. For example, here's my live reaction last night to a rapper I just found called Saint Mises. Yeah, I swear, that name just sounds like a 2016 ripoff of Kanye.
Oh my god, what the hell are these lyrics?
So what I've noticed going down this rabbit hole is that there's a different subset for conservative musicians. You have older musicians from the 70s and 80s who are kind of conservative about certain things like trans people or like just general social justice. Although I will admit, it's kind of surprising to see Eric Clapton, of all people, be vocal of Palestine, considering all the stuff he said in the past. But yeah, no, examples include like Santana, Alice Cooper, I think is one of them, who just said kind of not nice things about trans people. It's okay, I don't fucking care. But then you have people like Kanye who are anti-Semitic and just full-on Nazis. You have Morrissey, who he's Morrissey, do I need to say anything else? But then there's also the subset of people who make music that panders exclusively to conservatives. So like, this isn't necessarily Kanye or Morrissey or any of the people I've just mentioned. These are people whose entire musical careers are based off kind of supporting right-wing views and attacking liberals. Just think of like bands like Run the Jewels or Rage Against the Machine and like kind of twist that to fit a certain narrative, and that's what you get with all these conservative musicians. And there are some things I've learned from them, and the majority of them are awful producers and songwriters, like just the lyrical content aside. So I only think it would be fair to start by looking at one of the most well-known red-pilled musicians, the one, the only, the Slim Shady knockoff your mother warned you about, Tom MacDonald. Tom MacDonald's been covered extensively. He was big during COVID for his anti-mask songs, for his refusal to be a sheeple. And yeah, the past year is no exception. It kind of makes sense as to why he's so popular as an artist, because a lot of his rhetoric centers around just conservative discussion at the time. And the past year, a lot of it is what it was about transgender people. So naturally, a lot of the songs reflect anti-trans imagery. Let's watch one of these things.
My people of this country and we're under attack. They ban us, they cancel us for speaking the facts.
The first thing I want to point out from a musical perspective, not even lyrical, this beat is just fucking vile. Listen to like the first few seconds.
If you man enough, come stand with us, take USA back.
This sounds like something you and your buddies would have made as a sophomore in high school using your dad's GarageBand plugins on his iMac. So I guess like from the intro, we see this whole idea of American masculinity already pushed, and there's already this rhetoric of victimization. They're being victimized. They're the white guys who are being victimized by the woke left because they're trying to stand for what this country's all about. America, tanks, fighter jets for some reason. So yeah, from the first verse, you kind of get the kind of vibe he's going for. The awful Eminem knockoff.
Never gonna pretend that I give a damn. Anybody who's offended, come get it, we throwing hands. Anybody not trying to make America great again. You a punk, you a clown, better know where I stand.
But in this case, it's not any Eminem knockoff. It's a like really bad one. Also, these lyrics are just confusing in the sense that Tom MacDonald can't focus on a single talking point. Like, there's this one line where he talks about shooting guns. He says, "'Cause if you don't, they gun go wacko. Automatic guns smoke like tobacco. Never hit a lady, but it's pretty hard to tell if you're a girl. Or are they, them, they're, these, that, those?" What the fuck do transgender people have to do with any of this? I think the more concerning thing is that this like entire second verse is just coded in straight up violent threats. Like obviously, Adam and Tom McDonald are just straight up pussies and are not going to do anything. But what is concerning are the 13 million people who watch this, many of those who do own guns and who might be a little bit off the rockers. I think what I'm getting at here is we've already seen what dangerous right-wing rhetoric does when you have people like Kyle Rittenhouse crossing state lines, shooting people, and then getting dismissed from court. Or when we had a violent insurrection on January 6th. Because honestly, the only thing I'm really getting from the song is that Americans, real Americans, have guns. And if you mess with those real Americans, you're gonna get shot. Which is kind of antithetical to the whole point of the Constitution. Like literally the first amendment in the Bill of Rights. Honestly, I don't know, and I don't really care, because Tom McDonald's his own thing. I'm not going to spend any more time on him. I'm just going to move on to our next person, who's everyone's favorite country singer, Jason Aldean. So I'm sure you guys have heard Jason Aldean. His name was thrown around a lot back in the summer when he released his newest song, Try That in the Small Town, which was coincidentally shot in front of the Maury County Courthouse in Tennessee, where multiple lynchings of black men happened in the past. I think the most damning part of this is in his attempt to damage control the backlash, he said that he wasn't aware of the event beforehand, which I think is just like kind of ironic considering the whole point of the song is to prove what an American he is, and he can't even like keep up with American history that happened at the location where he was shooting his video. I just feel like the whole thing undermines the hypocrisy of this whole thing and what a grift it is. So, yeah, let's just watch the video. Regrettably, probably. Oh god, we're getting the Bo Burnham country song vibes. I like this.
Sucker punch somebody on the sidewalk.
Lyricism aside, this is just like the straight up worst vocal performance I've ever heard from a country artist. Ever.
Stomp on the flag and light it up.
I think the hilarious thing about this is the fact that the proper way to dispose of an American flag is to burn it. So already, in the span of 36 seconds, we've had two historical things that have just been overlooked by Mr. America. No, Mr. Aldean, I think you're tough. I promise, I don't think I'm tough at all. Like, you're the one that has guns and the guys that look like the rejects from Bruce Springsteen's band.
Try that in a small town. See how far you make it down.
So the whole premise of the song is basically taking like all of this conservative rhetoric about riots and all the awful stuff that happens in cities, and how that can never happen in a small American town because we have values and families and goats. The whole point of the song is just to reinforce the racist idea of going back to a Jim Crow South where people were segregated, where there was redlining, where there was all this awful stuff. And I think the worst part about all of this, aside from the obviously racist message of the song, is the fact that Jason Aldean wasn't even born in a small town. Yeah, he was born in Macon, Georgia, which as of now has a population of like 100,000 people. So I don't even get what his point is, considering he wasn't even born in a small town. I also just want to point that we're like at the third historical inaccuracy in under 1 minute. So you know what? I have to get up to you, Jason Aldean. I've never seen anyone get that much stuff wrong that fast.
Around here we take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take long.
Round here we take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take long for you to find out. I recommend you don't. Where have I heard this whole thing about redlining and keeping people in their certain parts of the city? This is just a straight up racist song that's posing as a bro country song, when in reality it's not. And quite frankly, it's way worse than a bro country song because the vocals, oh my god. I don't think I can take any more of Jason, so I'm just going to move on to the next person. The other breakout star of this year, Oliver Anthony. Man, this year was a really big year for conservative musicians. I think the only way that, like, this can be topped is if, like, the Trump girls come back next year. I'm counting on you, Trump girls. You better not disappoint. So yeah, Oliver Anthony was a breakout for his song Richmond, North of Richmond, that also came out earlier this year. And the interesting thing with him is that he tried to distance himself from both Republican and Democrats, because I guess his whole idea was a more libertarian view that, hey, all of our political systems are inherently corrupt. But a lot of the rhetoric in the song does sound very conservative, and a majority of people who have been embracing this are Trump voters / conservatives. Like, there's even a line in the song where he goes after people using welfare. So yeah, I'm just gonna let him speak for himself on this.
These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do.
It's like so weird because I see what he's trying to do with this, but at the same time, he's not attacking rich men all over the country, right? He's not attacking Bezos or Elon Musk or all these rich men that have so much lobbying power in the United States government. He's specifically attacking legislators, which I'm totally down with, attacking legislators on both sides. But I also believe that it's this capitalist structure that we're in that's causing really big problems in our country when you have people like Bezos or like Bill Gates that are in the top 1%, barely paying any taxes. And that's obviously something that he's not talking about, which I feel like is kind of missing from the song. And I think the really problematic thing about this song, for me at least, is that it's very out of touch with a lot of issues. And I just feel like this whole thought that he's also attacking Republicans is kind of disingenuous, considering the fact that the main hook of the song, he's singing about rich men north of Richmond who want to have total control, when that's a very right-wing sentiment. By which I mean it aligns very closely with Republican morals and less government and smaller overall presence in people's lives. So this obviously isn't the worst song on here, but once again, it's kind of misleading because he's trying to pose as a libertarian, but he's not. He's done videos with Jordan Peterson. Like, come on, we know where he is. Okay, next up, we're gonna listen to the one, the only Forato Blow. Now, this is a conservative rapper you've probably been seeing pop up everywhere online. He's well known for his beard that looks like the iPhone notch, except flipped upside down. Yeah, so his story is actually kind of interesting because his grandfather is a well-known auto trader, and yeah, that means that he's essentially a nepo baby. I'm also like pretty sure that his whole routine just started off as like a joke, but it's turned into an actual grift. He calls himself the mayor of Magaville on YouTube. Yeah, he's not as big as Tom McDonald or some of the other names on this list, but this stuff's still funny as hell.
Trump Latinos, Mayor of Magaville.
Oh god, we're already in it. Oh my god, I'm so excited.
Put Trump back in the White House.
It's a mega Christmas.
That's gotta be the strangest ad-lib I've ever heard. And like a few decades, when we're looking back at some of the most iconic ad-libs of all time, I will not be surprised if MAGA makes a list for I also just love the fact that like this guy's wearing a shirt that says Biden and it says brain dead idiot destroying entire nation. Like, you couldn't find another word that's just one word for B. Brain dead doesn't go with the rest of them. You could say something like, I don't know, bashful or bizarre.
All I want for Christmas is Trump back in the White House. The hood ain't got no money, guess Biden turn the lights out.
It's the hardest political rap since Run the Jewels 4 released back in 2020.
Dummies blaming Trump and J6.
What are these transitions? Oh my god. Yeah, no, this is just a full stop grift, but it is fucking hilarious.
Dummies blaming Trump for J6, I'm blaming Ray X. They pushing same sex on kids just to get them paychecks.
I'm just like trying to wrap my mind around what the whole logic here is. Like, does he think that somehow teachers get paid more if they teach children to be gay? What? See, the thing about Forato Blow is that I know for a fact he doesn't believe half the stuff he's saying. He just knows who his audience is. He knows what to do to get that bag. And to that end, I'm going to say good for him, but also the fact he's spewing hateful rhetoric, so no, not good for him. You suck, Forato. Okay, let's look at someone else. So, I just want to end this video on a positive note, and we're going to be looking at one more... Nah, I'm kidding. You guys thought I was going to leave you off of that easy. Yeah, no, Tyson James is kind of a douche, not only for his videos, but more so for the fact that he has his kids rapping on some of the videos he makes, and the whole thing's just, like, really sad to see. So Tyson James has been around for a few years at this point, and his most recent, I hate to use the word viral, but I'm going to use it for the sake of it. His most recent viral thing was a video of two of his boys, I believe it was two of his boys, rapping about transgender people, and the whole thing's awful, not even for the hateful rhetoric that, like, he wrote, but for the fact that, like, he's teaching these two kids from such a young age to say awful stuff like that. Like, I generally feel for those children, but anyway, we're going to be watching one of his other videos called Raise Them Right. Let's see what amazing insight Tyson James has to give us.
We fighting back to back, yeah, that's my rib. We'll never let the devil win. You ain't coming in my crib, cause this is my house. You can't have my kids, you can't have my spouse.
Okay, thank you, Tyson James. I was not planning on having your spouse, but yeah, thank you for setting your boundaries. Boundary setting is always a good idea, Tyson James. I'm really glad to see you speaking up for stuff like that.
So train them little kids to be a weapon, cause they the only things you take with you to heaven.
I'm sorry, do what now?
So train them little kids to be a weapon, cause they the only...
What the hell? I guess besides the hateful rhetoric, this is my other huge gripe with conservative music. It's that so much of it is focused on violence and weapons, and oh my god. This is a major disconnect I have with the song. It's that you're trying to teach your kids the right way to live, teach them right, point them to the light. In reality, coming from, like, a culture that glamorizes this kind of stuff, this is just teaching indoctrination. That's what this is. You can title this video, brainwash your children or indoctrinate them, and the meaning would have still been the same. Because you're not teaching your children to think for themselves. You're teaching them to think what you think about certain groups of people. And once again, this is just something to add to my point that so much of this music is focused on this war, or like this kind of war for your child's mind by the liberal left who wants to corrupt and demonize your children. There's just like all this imagery of like training your child to be a weapon or to fight back. When in reality, all this is, it's just about losing power. It's about the fear of losing control over someone's thoughts because they've gained the ability to think critically. I genuinely pity children that grow up in environments where they're not allowed to think for themselves because at the end of the day, that's what fascism is. Fascism, by definition, is the love of one's country above all other things. So when you apply something like that to a different thing like religion, it can be used in a very similar way to brainwash a group of people. I guess my point is to anyone who's ever been in a very cult-like setting like this, I applaud you for breaking out, because I've been there too, and it sucks, quite frankly. Oh yeah, he also made this video called Demon Month, which I think is just fucking hysterical.
Our kids alone.
You're not gay, it's the demon that's inside of you. You weren't born that way, don't let it try to lie to you.
So, fun story, I actually, one of my friends from childhood told me that I had a transgender demon living inside of me. So apparently this is like a pretty common thing that a lot of these Christians believe, and it is kind of funny to think that I got a trans demon inside of me. How many of you guys got trans demons or gay demons inside of you? Let me know in the comments.
I'ma tell the truth, don't act like I do not care. I'm trying to save you from hell, cause it is hot there.
Well, if heaven's gonna be filled with people like you, might as well end up being damned for all eternity. Thanks.
Not tell the truth, did God say to paint your fingernails?
Feel like this should just probably be said so it's out there, but actors have to put on makeup all the time, even male actors. So yeah, checkmate.
Oh, I suck cause I don't rock with Pride Month. Disney Plus trying to turn my daughter into my son.
Yeah, no, I think I realized I was trans after I watched Cinderella. Yeah, so I guess like this is the proper way to end the video and whatnot, but that's all I really have to say. The music sucks. Anyway, I'll see you guys at some point next week or 2 weeks. I don't know. Bye.